In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, students? I welcome you once again in Pakistan International School Types virtual learning class for second year biology. Dear students, we are on chapter number 16 and we are studying support and locomotion. Today's topic is muscle contraction, and the other we will see antagonism of skeletal muscles. Actually, this is the continuation of the previous topic in which we have studied the like a detailed structure, external and ultrastructure of the muscles. Today we will see muscle contraction, how the muscles get contracted and how we move, how this helps us in the movement. So actually muscle contraction, that is called as the sliding filament theory or sliding filament movement, and that is given by A.F. Huxley and H.E. Huxley and J. Hansen. These three scientists together, they have just demonstrated the sliding filament model of muscle contraction. Actually, what happened, if we see the diagram below, then you can understand this properly. We know that in the sarcomere, which is the contractile unit of muscle contraction, actin filaments and myosin filaments are present. In between the myosin filament, M disc or M line is present, which is the connection of these two myosin filaments. Here is the Z line or Z line. This one is present. And what happened when the muscle is relaxed? First, we will see here. You can see this is the normal position of myosin filament, and here is actin filaments are there. So what happened? This, when the muscle is going to contract, the Z line means from one, like the sarcomere, from one end to another line starts to move inward. If you see it start to move inward, it means that actin filament, this one, is going to slide over myosin filament. Myosin filament will be at its place, and actin filament starts to move inward. When this actin filament will start to move inward, it means it slides over the myosin filament. So what happened, this area from here to here, that is H zone, it is going to be decreased. So you can see here in partial contraction, this area which is from here, now it is gone, it has been decreased up to this area, because these actin filaments are going to move inward from both of the sides. Actually, muscles contracted, they do not return back to their place by their own. When the other muscle will contract, so then they will relax. So they contract, or it means they pull inward, they don't push. They are gonna pull inward, but how? With the help of myosin filaments. Myosin filaments we'll talk about in a few minutes. So you can see this H zone is going to be decreased and A band is going to be increased. Okay, A band, where the actin, this one, and myosin filaments together, they are like overlapped one another. So this is going to be increased and H zone is going to be decreased. So there are the muscles here are fully contracted. So how this is happened, this is due to the sliding filament model. You can see here in this diagram. You can see here in the resting position, resting stage, what happened. ATP is hydrolyzed. It means there is no energy now. So what happened? These are actin filaments. So you can see an actin filaments, tropomyosin and troponin, two type of proteins are there. So troponin are of like having three subunits. So troponin I, troponin T, and troponin C. So the very important thing, what happened in B, in case B, you can see what happened during this one. Like you can see here, this is muscle, and these are muscle fibers. Muscles are contracted when our brain gives messages to the muscles. So when brain give messages to the muscles, so these nerves come across with the muscles in whole of the area, where they just like they make net-like structure over the muscles. So with the muscles, like with the sarcolemma, the outer covering, and we are having this is we can say the nerve endings. There is very close contact like this. If this is nerve ending and here is the muscle, so what happened, this is the place which is called junction. Okay, so nerve endings, or that is called neural junction. So here what happened, some chemicals are released, those are called neurotransmitters. We will talk about inshallah in the next chapter. So these neurotransmitters just reached here on in the sarcolemma. So what happened from here, it gives signals to sarcoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum, which are present in the muscles, they are called sarcoplasmic reticulum. So sarcoplasmic reticulum is highly filled, or they are rich in calcium ions. So calcium ions are going to be released from endoplasmic or sarcoplasmic reticulum. When they are released, these calcium are released in like sarcomeres or these muscle myofibrils. So these calciums are actually bind with this troponin. You can see here the blue one. When they bind here, so this tropomyosin, now this is displaced from its position. When it is displaced, you can see these are the dotted like structures. It means these are some binding site which are actually covered when they were in the relaxed condition. Now they are exposed and they are going to bind with myosin filaments. So these are myosin binding sites. So now what's happened, ATP is utilized. Now ATP is hydrolyzed here into ADP and P. So the bond is broken down, and that energy which is released by the breaking of this bond is utilized to bind this link with actin with myosin. So this is called um, cross bridge. This is called cross bridge, which is formed between actin and myosin, both of them. Now this we can see here, this myosin is fit with the actin filament, and before it was here, now it drags the actin filament on this side. When it drags the actin filament this side, at this time, this ADP and P phosphate ion that gets detached from that, and this is called cross bridge. Now cross bridge formation is done, but when they are hydrolyzed and they are removed from there, because energy is utilized to make the cross bridge and to slide the actin myosin um, a little and forward direction, that is called power stroke. So power stroke occurs, the sarcomere contracts. Now sarcomere contracts, this way just a little. So ADP and PI dissociates from myosin because all the energy is utilized. Now again, one more atom, one more ATP is attached with this one, and then it is get hydrolyzed, and the cross bridges are formed again. Here calcium is now here when this power stroke is occurred, so sliding is done. This is called sliding filament. Of what filament? Actin filament is there. So now ATP binds to myosin again and then causing the attachment of calcium ions. These calcium ions are going back into the endoplasmic reticulum, and then again this happens several times. The cross bridges is formed and by attaching calcium ions and hydrolyzing of ATP into ADP and phosphate ion. So cross bridge is broken down now, and this is called recocking of the myosin head, and that is called a recovery stroke. And then again power stroke, and then this is power stroke and this is recovery stroke, because this will come again back into its position, and then this will attach again, and then like this moves um, uh, like lots of time. These cross bridges are formed and broken down, power strokes are happened, and then they are there is recovery stroke. So like that, this is contraction is occurred, and that is controlled by ATP, which is energy is given, and other calcium ions which are attached with them. So these are the cross bridges which are formed here, and then with power stroke they move further inward, and then the recovery stroke is done. Recovery stroke means this bridge is broken down, and the head of the myosin filaments is moved back into its position. Okay, so you can see this one with this diagram as well. This is the first detachment or actin or myosin filament. ATP is attached with this. ATP splits into ADP and PI, like hydrolysis is done. So what happened? This is going to make the energy is utilized by hydrolysis to make the cross bridge. After cross bridge formation, the loss of ADP is done, and calcium ion recovered back, and this slides a little further, and then ATP binds again and calcium is moved back, and like this all the process is going to be happen lots of time for the contraction of the muscles. Okay. So now we will see, that was very, very important actually, the sliding filament theory. And it is proved like experimentally by the scientist A.F. Huxley, H.E. Huxley, and J. Hansen. Okay, now we will see antagonistic arrangement of skeletal muscles. Antagonistic arrangement of skeletal muscles mean the muscles work antagonistically, like in opposite direction. So we know that bones are attached with the bones with connective tissue. Those are called ligaments. Uh, so what happened when the one muscle contracts at one end normally, other end remains stationary. So muscle contracts at one direction. So where the bone is attached with the muscle, that is called origin, and where it moves, that is called insertion. Actually, both are the attachment of the bones, but stationary like attachment is called origin, and the moving side is called insertion, and between they are having uh, uh, the thick part that is called belly. Like for example, this is muscle, and you can see this is, for example, origin at one place, and from here this is insertion, and then the muscle is contracted in this direction, and here the thicker part that is called belly of the muscles. So muscles are of two types, like agonistic or antagonistic. So these are called extensor muscles and flexor muscles. So the muscles which contract and bends the bones at the joint, they are called flexors, and which contracts but they extend or strengthen the bone at the joint, that is called extensor, like extending to make straight. So when the muscles contract and relax, one muscle contract, another relax, that is called antagonistic arrangement. Before, in the previous classes, you have seen antagonistic arrangement in biceps and triceps of forearm. Now we are gonna see here tibiofemoral joint, that is called knee joint. Tibiofemoral joint, that is knee joint, actually it means that having the connection with tibia as well as femur of the leg of the thighs. So it is between tibia and femur. So that is actually very, very complex joint. It means that is not only hinge joint, but it is having some gliding movements, limited rolling as well, and flexion and extension. So flexion is carried out by the flexor muscles, that are hamstring muscles. Major hamstring muscles are bicep femoris, like it is present on the femur, and it is having insertion at 2 points. That's why it's called biceps. Okay, and so it is having two origins. We can see one from pelvic girdle. If you can see here the diagram, you can see here, these are hamstring muscles which are at the back of the thighs, and from one side it is just having the origin at like pelvic bone, like pelvic girdle, as well as the other at the femur. Okay, and then it is joined. So it is having insertion at like in the tendons, but the tendons are divided into two portions. One is attached at the upper part of the tibia, and two portions are attached at the upper part of the tibia and fibula of both of the side, here and here, like tibia this direction and fibula this direction. So both of the side it is having insertion. The other muscles that is antagonistic of that one, that is extension muscles, and they are called quads or quadriceps. Quadriceps femoris, because it is having insertion in the femoris. So we can say like, so it is having origin in ilium and the femur. Ilium is, we know, the large bone of the like pelvic girdle. It is like this. So this bone is called ilium. Also, it is having what we can say the origin from here, and one is from a femur here, and one is from femur, and they originate at the ilium and the femur, and they come in a tendon surrounding the patella. Patella is the kneecap, and insert at the tibia. Like from here it moves from this side, surrounding, like a covering the kneecap, and it is just inserted into the tibia. So what happened When the quads or quadriceps contract and working as agonist, the contract means when it contracts, it extends the knees. So that's why it is extensor muscles. Here, like this one, this one from here, the thighs bone, and this one is flex the hip, like from here it is a little bit, it is having the bending. And this is here the knee is extended, that's why by this contraction leg is get extended and straightened, that's why it is called extensor muscle. And opposite of that, hamstring is lengthening here. It is going to be relaxed and it acts as antagonistic muscles. When hamstring contracts, so this leg move backward. When it is moved backward, so it means it is flexor muscle. And then from here, these quadriceps get relaxed. So like that, it helps in the movement, running, walking, jumping, etc. in lots of the working process. Okay, dear students, if you see here, this diagram actually is not accurate for this movement at knee joint, but that is actually not the movement at knee joint, that is the bone remodeling, or the topic which we have discussed before. So that is related to that one, but it is repeated here, which we have seen in a bone repair process. Okay, so if we see that how the muscles having some disorders which are like related in our daily life, there are some muscle disorders are just discussed here. Muscle fatigue, cramps, and tetany we will discuss here. Actually, what happened when muscles get fatigued, they lose the ability to contract. We know. So, like muscles get tired. So that is physiological state of the muscles that is called muscle fatigue. Some factors are there. Very important factor while after exercise, hard exercise, that is happened due to accumulation of lactic acid, as well as some ionic imbalances are there. For example, we are dehydrating, sweating at the time, so imbalance of ions are there. Due to that, um, like our nervous system or motor neurons cannot like send the proper messages to the this skeletal system, or these muscles. That's why they just get fatigued, and they can like not contract and relax properly. As well as the other cause can be the accumulation of lactic acid, like it decreases the pH. Yeah, it is decrease the pH of like of the blood, as well as the fluid, extracellular fluid, as well as the fluid inside present inside the muscle cells. So accumulation of lactic acid due to the loss of energy, that can be another, like if there is no energy, accumulation of lactic acid, imbalances of ions are there, so there can be muscle fatigue, and muscles started to ache, and like definitely there will be glucose loss as well. So if we see this, the next one, that is cramp, it is also known as tetanic contraction of entire muscle, like not whole of the body, but any type of entire muscles, that can be happen most of the time with the athletes, and as well as like but most of the time it is happened during sleep, in midnight, and after hard exercises as well, due to low blood sugar, and especially if we don't hydrate our body, because by this electrolyte can be depleted by sweating, by urination, and also we don't drink proper water, and we don't hydrate our bodies. So the muscles started to continuously contract for some time, or it can be long for the hours, as well as irritability of spinal cord can be done, and neurons as well, due to the electrolytes depletion and ionic imbalances as well. Tetany is also the muscle contraction, but actually cramps can happen suddenly, or in like sometimes, but cramp tetany is actually that can be having the problem, like is a complete disorder, and that is due to the insufficient parathyroid hormone. This is one of the reason actually, because parathyroid hormone that is present, if we know, beyond or below the larynx. For example, this is larynx butterfly, okay, this is larynx, by which we can like here is the larynx present, and at below of that we are having parathyroid thyroid gland, and in that there are four other types of glands are present, two on both of the sides, and they release parathormone. And this parathormone or parathyroid hormone, that is very very important to regulate calcium level in the body, calcium level in the blood actually. So if calcium level is decreased, so it releases hormone, this parathormone, and due to which reabsorption of the calcium is done from the intestine as well as from the bones, because 99% of uh, calcium is stored in the bones. So bones are the largest reservoir of the calcium. So releasing of the calcium from the bones into the blood, that what happened then maintains the calcium level in the blood, and that calcium is very very important for the contraction of the muscles, as we have seen before. Like in tetany, what happened, the body shakes from continuous muscles contraction, and pitches convulsion can occur, and like the excitability of the neurons is too much increased, as well as the muscle contraction can be too much increased, due to what our larynx can like larynx can contract, and spasm of larynx can occur, as well as paralysis can occur of any part of the body as well. By that death can occur of the person if it persists, if it is untreated. So low calcium level, what happened, we have seen here in the previous, like here we have seen in the previous diagram, that calcium is bind with this troponin, TNC, by which what happened, this the binding sites of myosin filaments are exposed, and they are bind up. So when they are bind with that one, so what happened, when they are released from here, calcium move again into the endoplasmic reticulum. When they don't, there is less we can say calcium. So this calcium cannot release from that site, and it is completely bind with that troponin, and due to that, that excitability of that muscle is happen for longer time until that is treated. So due to that excitability, or due to the like contraction of the muscles, the body is shaking continuously. Okay, so this can lead to the death if it is untreated. So there are lots of medicines as well as the nutrition for the treatment of tetany. But sometimes we are just confused with the tetany and tetanus. Tetanus actually is the infection which is done by Clostridium tetani, and um, but tetany is, or tetani, like pronunciation can differ. So that is done by the low calcium level in the body, as well as it is results in excitability of neurons and results in loss of sensation. So and excitability of the neurons will be there, so the person cannot sense or judge the situation. And by Clostridium tetani, where convulsions, the patient die due to lack of oxygen, like um, it means energy is continuously using over there due to contraction, and there is as well as less oxygen will be there due to more like what we can say, that can be that can lead to the death of the person due to the loss of oxygen. So that can be treated by giving like antibiotics or certain medicines to the patients, so that like it can, the person can be cured from the disease of tetanus, as well as tetany um, can also be treated by certain medicines. So dear students, by this we have completed our chapters, Alhamdulillah. So inshallah we will see you again in the next lecture. Wish you all the best. Allah Hafiz.